The Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, 1791, was drafted by James Madison, who later became our fourth president and was modeled on existing state precedents. Quote, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, unquote. The key concept underlying this article in the Bill of Rights is this: individual gun ownership is a defense against tyrants, whether a monarch like King George III or a modern dictator like Adolf Hitler. That right, says the Supreme Court, can be subject to reasonable regulation, but cannot be done away with altogether. So, to repeal the constitutional right to keep and bear arms requires, obviously, amending the U.S. Constitution, which is an elaborate and costly process. Either a new national constitutional convention or approval of the proposed emendation by 2/3 of state legislatures. Arguments in favor of repealing the Second Amendment include banning private firearm ownership to prevent atrocities like the Newtown murders, and trusting authorities and the rule of law to safeguard our security and liberties instead of armed citizens. Question: if the U.S. Constitution were being drafted today, would it be a good idea or a bad idea to exclude the Second Amendment? Tim Carney.
I think we ought to exclude the first part, which adds the ambiguity, and just say the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That the taking away guns from Americans would not keep us safer from gun violence. There have been many academic studies by this. There was a Harvard Journal of Policy and Law, something like that. National Academies of Sciences went and looked to try to find, do stricter gun laws have an effect on gun ownership? No. On gun crime? No. Even gun ownership doesn't have a direct effect on gun crime.
I'm sure I could match surveys with you, and I think that's kind of a pointless exercise. But nobody is talking about, amending the Second Amendment or repealing it or anything like that. All people in this gun violence debate want to do is to regulate the sale of weapons and maybe ammunition so that people can't go out and mow down 21st graders in 15 minutes. There's no reason why people should have access to assault weapons. You don't need, the sportsmen don't need that, and most sportsmen favor regulation.
There are 3 million Armalite rifles, those Bushmaster types, out there right now, and people are buying them like hotcakes. Every gun show, the sales are up enormously. 41% they were up in December over last December, which was a record year. John, what is coming, though? Eleanor is correct. The push is going to come on 3 things: to grandfather in the assault weapons that are here now, to try to outlaw assault weapons, outlaw magazines that carry more than 11 or 12 bullets.
And also, wait a minute. Let me get this in there. With no Second Amendment, Congress could pass a law as limited as this: banning assault rifles, or as sweeping as prohibiting all private firearm ownership and requiring the surrender of all privately held firearms. There could be no appeal.
There would be a revolution in this country.
Baloney. That doesn't mean you can't own one, but you have to put it in first and then go in and try to...
270 million guns in this country right now, John, and they're adding to them at the rate of about 16 million a year.
Assault weapons.
Everything else that has been proposed is filled with loopholes.
Well,
and it does not solve the problem.
The assault weapon ban is meaningless. The term assault weapon just means scary-looking gun.
Because you can't fix everything doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything.
That's what I just proposed doing.
Registering guns.
At least contemplating it.
Right. Licensing people to use them. Putting identification on guns, like the number on your car vehicle, so you can identify who owns them. Have only the owner can use it. If I lose my iPad, nobody else can use it. If I had a gun, which I obviously don't, Tim could come in and use it and turn it on whoever he wants. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I am not calling for the suppression of gun ownership by any means.